This is the last of the garden green beans. It froze, it'll freeze tonight, and we're done. When you pick green beans, they should look nice like this, about like the size of a pencil, and should be firm. You never want them to be skinny and wobbly like this. You wash them off and cut them into the lengths you desire, cutting off any bad spots as you go. Or you can just snap them. Some people like to snap them. We have an abundant harvest of green beans, in spite of the fact that this is the desert. So we're going to put up some green beans there. You have to put green beans up in a way that's going to kill all the germs. Freezing preserves the best, the vitamins and other things that you want to preserve, but not everybody has enough freezer space to do that. So we're going to put them up in a pressure. Use a pressure cooker, not a hot water bath canner, because there's no acid in green beans. It won't preserve well. There's two different kinds of pressure cookers. There's the weighted pressure cooker, and there's pressure cookers with gauges. Okay, the gauges have to be reset periodically, and will depend a little bit on where your altitude is. This one's kind of neat. It's got a metal lip and a curved metal edge, so that you can get a really, really good seal. By screwing these handles on tight. This, the less expensive kind, has got a rubber seal. Rubber seals have to be replaced periodically, and you can also preserve them a little bit by rubbing them with a little vegetable oil, which is what we're going to do with this one before we use it. If you can preserve the rubber seal, one of these pressure cookers can last a long time. This is my husband's grandmother's pressure cooker, so it's not a brand new thing, and it still works very well. Let's see how it does at altitude. The first thing we need to do is get the jars hot. You can run them in the dishwasher and get them nice and warm. I don't have a dishwasher, so what I have to do is fill this up with some water and just heat the jars up a little bit before I start. All we're doing here is getting the jars warm. They're already clean, they're already sterilized. They just need to be warmed back up again. The weighted gauge works like this. It tells how many pounds of pressure the gauge has, and you set it on the post here. The steam pushes this up so that at 5 pounds of pressure it starts making a little jiggly noise, or at 15 pounds of pressure it starts making a little jiggly noise. The most important thing you need to do, besides making your seal works, before you start, you need to look through where the steam comes out. See if you can see light coming through. The light coming through, that hole is wide open. You see there's no light coming through this one. It's plugged. Got a pipe cleaner here. I'm going to stuff the pipe cleaner in and see if we can't dislodge what's ever in there. Here it comes. What in the world is that? There it is. It's all clean now. There you go. You can see light through it. It's ready to go. Jars are getting nice and hot now, and we've got water boiling so that we can do this whole process. Take the jars out one at a time. I've already checked for nicks and cracks. You can use old jars. Feel free to use old jars. In fact, if you look, you can see the old jars are nice and thick and they crack a lot less often than the new jars do. There we go. We're going to use the raw pack method. You can cook the green beans first, but we're not going to on account of we don't have that much water. We have about 5 quarts of green beans in the pot. Shake it down. We're going to fill each jar up 1 inch from the top. There you go. What the? 5 quarts of green beans gets us 5 quarts of green beans. What a deal. The jar gets a teaspoon of salt. We fill the jars up with hot water, boiling hot water. Again to about 1 inch from the top. Run a spatula along the edges to get the bubbles out. As you can see, there's little bubbles stored in between the green beans. You may have to add water after this step. Looks like a couple of these need a little more water. We were careful to see that none of the rims of any of the lids had any dents in them so that they will all make a good seal. Put the rings on over the lids. First just tighten them loosely because the jars are really hot. And then you need to make sure that they're finger tight. So you give them one more squeeze. There we go. Now let's check and see if the canner's ready. It's got a ring in it. Canner needs to have 2 to 3 inches of water in it before we even start. We'll put that should be good.